Good morning, people in the south. How you guys doing? My dudes in the east, how are you that side? And my fellow entrepreneurs in the west, I hope you guys are well. And my people in the north, good evening. I've been thinking about something that got me to do this episode specifically because I haven't been double clicking on sectors for in a while. So today I would like to double click on mining sector. I'd like to double click on mining sector in terms of disruptive innovation and see what you can come out with from the mining sector. So when we were still young and problematic, we in primary school, in high school, we used to give our teachers a lot of runaround, a lot of hard time, and simply because we were still young, and they also had to derive some means to control those kind of controversies around us and keep us together, motivate us, and give us the best way possible for us to survive the economy at the time, so that we can become something in life. And there's one thing that they've always said to us: if we are being problematic, they would always say, you're going to fail, and when you fail, or when you have failed, there is nowhere else that you're going to work except in the mine. Don't say we didn't tell you. You will end up working in a mine. Our teachers used to say that. Even to an extent of parents would also mention a lot around there to say, don't say we did not warn you. Don't say, whatever that you're doing now is gonna put you closer to where you want to be tomorrow. So if you keep playing, you will be in the mine very soon, working in the mine underground. That's what I want to double click on today, mining sector. So before the year 2000, those people used to scare us with mines or with the mining sector, purely because mining was I don't want to say a bad thing, but mining was something to scare a student or a learner when you try to demotivate them around the bad things that they were doing at the time. If you, like I said, like I've explained, if you're out of the way and you're being rebellious, they will scare you with you ending up working in the mine. So mining before the year 2000, was the thing that was used as a dead snake to scare us as learners. And then 2000 came, and we saw a breakthrough of things in South Africa. Our economy's perspective changed. The complexion of our economy took a new wave, took a new direction. We saw mining coming in full force. We saw PGMs, platinum group metals, being highly in demand. As a result, we saw a lot of mining operations being opened in South Africa, especially in the Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and Northwest provinces. And that's when the narrative of working in the mine became null and void, because it started to become fashionable to work in the mine. So the mining sector started to get the recognition that it deserved. The mining sector was at the lowest of the pyramid because no one wanted to work in the mine. No one wanted to associate with working in the mine. If your father was working in the mine, it was an unfortunate situation. If your father worked in a hospital, your father worked for government, we used to respect those kids, which their fathers used to work in government offices. We used to respect those kids whom their father used to be teachers and stuff like that. But if your father worked in a mine, you were nowhere in the economy of our communities. We were at the bottom of the food chain, so to speak. So the situation was like that until year 2000. That's when I was in grade 11, and then I was able to see the next big thing in our economy. I could see that this thing is gonna be big, and the mines lacked or ran out of people to employ and to train. What they did was they came to our schools to recruit students. So they dropped application forms at schools. So it's either you choose after matric that you're going to go for training, or you're going to take up a bursary based on your performance to go study, so you can come back and work at the mine, or you take up a scholarship to go continue your high school studies somewhere else in a different high school. So we had these three things. Many learners were taken to go continue their high school education in other private school, well-managed schools than the public school. And then others took the bursaries, others took the training option. So many of our friends, many of our classmates were taken by the mine to go train to become mining workers. And we used to envy these guys, because I took a route to go study, not through the mine or through a bursary or anything, because I could not qualify for the bursary. I could not qualify for that scholarship to go study in another high school somewhere. But I qualified to go study, to further my studies somewhere with my own money, or my own parents' money, or my own grandparents' money, or my own family money. So I did not get sponsored by any one of those three. So that's when I realized that this is going to be big. Mining is going to be the next big thing. So we need to position ourselves as learners. And then as we were studying, we used to reminisce and picture ourselves going back home to work in the mines that we left, because we knew there were mining developments at home and a lot of people were being employed, and we were just going to school to study, thinking we'll come back and join the mines and work at the mines. But this thing or that thing that we were told as we grew up stick with us, or stick with me. For me specifically, it stayed with me. I never forgot that if you go to the mine to work at the mine, it means you have failed, because our teachers made sure that they instill this thing in our minds. So that's what mining did in a nutshell, in terms of the economical changes that we saw happening in our province, in our country, and so on and so forth, in our continent as well. So the biggest goal that we need to understand as disruptive innovators is the fact that the mining companies, when they go mine any mineral, their biggest goal, or the biggest goal to achieve, their biggest goal to achieve is to mine the mineral. Excuse me, I'm looking at something on the camera, and the camera is acting up, it's doing things here. Then I'm trying to understand what the camera is doing. The camera is counting things and is doing things, so I'm trying to understand these things. It's busy doing some calculations. So the biggest thing that the mind wants to do is to mine the minerals safely, number one, safely, and efficiently, number two. These are the major goals that the mines wants to do when they mine the minerals. Whatever that happens, those two things must happen safely and efficiently. So they must go extract the minerals safely, and as they extract the minerals, the process should be efficient. So let's bear that in mind, safely and efficiently. So our cake as innovators, it's on those two things, safely and efficiently. So I'm gonna use this side as my safely, use this side as my efficiently. What is it that they want to see when they mine the minerals safely? They don't want to hurt people, like avoid injuries, which they call lost time injuries. The lost time is like the time that you lost due to injuries. And then they don't want to kill people, which they call fatalities. They don't want to do that. They don't want to have employees that they have employed and medically tested, and these employees were fit to work, they were healthy. They don't want to have these employees to exit their company being unhealthy. So this culminates down to health and safety. Let's come this side. They want to extract the minerals efficiently. What they don't want to do is to extract the minerals from the ground expensively. They don't want to follow processes that are going to be expensive to take the minerals out out from the ground. They don't want the minerals to cost them their profit, the profit that they've already calculated. They don't want when they say that they don't want the minerals, I mean they don't want the activities of extracting the minerals to cost them their profits, to cost them the money that they were supposed to make. So whatever process that they're going to follow to extract the minerals from the ground, the process should be able to pay itself by paying the employees, by paying the overheads, and paying its debts, and leave out a profit for the owners to share. Clear, right? So efficiency, safety. Now, this is our cake. Where do we go in here so we can build systems that are going to work along these two things? We can build systems that are going to enhance safety as these guys are mining and extracting the minerals from the ground. Enhance efficiency as these guys are building and mining the minerals off the ground. We need to build those systems. So we need to now sit and think about, what can I build for the mines to be able to manage their processes efficiently, such that when they're done mining, they can see higher profits. And when they're not employing this system that I'm thinking to innovate, when they're done mining, they will see very little margins of profit. So they'll be forced to employ this management system for efficiency. Okay, what is it that I can come up with for this mining company to see value into this safety system that they can employ, says that at the end of every 12 months, they are sitting on 0 fatalities, they're sitting on 0 injuries, because their target is 0 tolerance. So they cannot tolerate anything above 0. There's something called auto at the mines. Auto, many mines are applying this auto strategy, OTTO. It's which never made sense to me, but this is how they interpret it. It's 0 tolerance, target 0, auto. A lot of people don't know this, and they see this every day, and they never tell us what auto means. You see auto everywhere in the mines, like in the equipment of the mines, you see auto. Auto means 0 tolerance, target 0. So mostly safety equipment will be printed a sticker that says auto. Whatever auto, that thing means 0 tolerance, target 0. So our target is 0. And how much are we tolerating? 0. So we cannot tolerate anything above 0. And then we come up with a system that's going to enhance auto. You are done. That's what I'm here to talk about. So we have now I see why the camera was doing calculations. I think the camera was calculating the remaining space, but it's fine. Let me just continue and see where it ends. It was calculating the remaining space. Now it's telling me I'm left with 10 minutes. So auto can be innovated. we can innovate systems to work along with auto. We can innovate systems to be employed by mines to enhance and uphold auto. And those systems will mostly look into the type of should I say dangers, the type of dangers and hazards that the miners are exposed to underground, the types of hazards and risks the miners are exposed to. So we need to look into that to say, what are the list of risks that these miners are exposed to, are facing on a daily? I've seen this company, which I'm not going to mention because probably we're going to compete with them when we start to innovate into that space. They have built systems that are it's actually early warning systems. The systems are warning the miners underground as the mining activities are taking place. Miners are drilling the walls, electricians are connecting cables, whoever is doing this, the installers are installing the stove nets and the supporting timbers and all that. It's busy. And then the excavator driver is busy reversing there with his excavator, and he goes and scoop the material, and then he reverses, and then people are running around. So they've installed this system that warns the miners about that excavator, because these excavators are big, and the driver in most cases cannot see what is behind him. So what happens is they drive over other workers and they kill them. So they've installed a system that actually goes and switch off the engine or apply brakes on the excavator. So it applies emergency brakes on the excavator before the problem happens. So this thing is installed with sensors. So every time it senses movements, any kind of movement, it applies brakes. And it has some kind of lights where it warns miners around the area to be careful of this thing when it reverses, when it goes forward, and so on and so forth. So those are the things that I'm talking about. Those are the things that I'm looking at. But it doesn't end there. It's not limited to that. As well, there's gases underground. So the miners are inhaling a lot of toxic gases like methane. Methane is a gas that cannot be inhaled excessively by human beings, so it will cause a lot of damage to your lungs. It actually kills. If you inhale a lot of methane, you will die. So you need to have methane detectors, and then when you get deeper deeper underground, because you have done some blasting, you have cracked open the rocks which were formed 5 billion years ago underground, and these rocks were formed under a lot of pressure, and they contain a lot of gases including SO4s, methane and stuff like that. When the explosion happened, you let out all of those gases, then the gases roam around the hallway of the mine, the underground mining activities sites, and then these workers walk around with methane detectors. The moment the detector starts warning them, then they know we have reached a point where there's excessive methane, and then they need to apply respirators or they need to evacuate the area, depending on the type of warnings that they get. So those are the things that I'm talking about, regarding the safety part of the excavation of the mining companies, and at the same time, we need to also look into safety outside the underground mine. If maybe there's nothing that we can innovate underground, we can definitely innovate something out of the mine, So let's look at the efficiency part. The efficiency part is that we're going to look into the systems that are going to work along with the safety systems that we've installed. Many mines are still operating on traditional setups. The mine is still many mining companies are still using excavators that use diesel. They use diesel to go underground, and then they scoop the material, and they reverse, and then they come, they throw the material into the galley box and stuff like that. The material falls down into the galley box and then gets collected, and then the winch comes and collects the material. Then someone operates the winch sweeps all the material down to whatever area, and so on and so forth. So we can look into eliminating most of those systems, because the scoop itself, it's an expensive system that is being used to haul the material out and put the material somewhere else until the material reaches. The material that I'm talking about, it's the rocks that were blasted, the ore that was blasted underground. It needs to get out. So they use conveyor belts, but the conveyor belt, there's areas that they cannot reach. So the conveyor belt cannot reach certain areas underground. It ends somewhere. So the equipment must go get the ore and put it closer to the conveyor belt, so the conveyor belt can take it up to the plant, processing plant. So the blasted material is being hauled in many ways. So wherever the scoop cannot reach, then they use the winch system to collect all this material, and they use motors and cables to pull this winch, and the winch is just a steel bar that pushes and collects all the material into a certain hole, and then the material falls in there, gets collected. It's a long process which we can eliminate some of these components and processes to enforce a simple and easy method to get the material out of the mine into the conveyor belt for processing. That's the point that I'm trying to make here. So I was just trying to paint a picture for us as innovators to see where can we go in, because the cake, it's here on these two things. Safe extraction of the material underground, efficiency, as and when we practice our mining activities. So if we eliminate the excavator that scoops the material, we would have saved the cost to buy the equipment, this the cost to maintain the equipment, the cost to pay the driver or the operator of the equipment, the cost to fuel the equipment, and the cost that results into or that compromises the safety of the miner, because they have to pay other additional add-ons for this thing to apply emergency brakes when there's people walking behind it, so that it doesn't knock people out or down and kill them. So it will compromise the safety part of it. So there's a whole lot more that goes into that equipment alone. And we eliminate such, That's what I'm talking about. So that's what I was talking about. So we're going to look into that to ensure that we employ methods that are going to eliminate all of those stages and get one innovative way of getting the material and the ore underground to the conveyor belt and have the material processed. Don't think it's impossible. Before the winch, there was no winch. So they were pushing the material with wheelbarrows. They were carrying them. Before the wheelbarrows, they were carrying the material by hands. That's why the mining activities in the olden days, they took too long to mine a 1 kilometer area. Actually, 1 kilometer is too long. They took about 30 years to mine a 500 meter area, because they were mining with hands. They were carrying the rocks by hands. They go and throw them. Our great grandfathers, they go and throw them on the hole somewhere, and then they get outside. Someone outside has to carry them until they introduce these and introduce that. Then eventually today in 2025, 2026, we're sitting on winches and excavators that go underground and are able to get the material out. By the time our great grandfathers were picking up these rocks by hand, they never thought there would be something called a winch. But today we have a winch. So you cannot afford to think that it's impossible. It is highly possible. You can come up with a system that all the mines are gonna adopt and start using your system, because it's an area where we think technology, no, we cannot go into that space. We will go into that space and implement innovative ideas that are going to help us to efficiently mine the minerals from the ground. You understand my point? Eh? So, the efficiency part, I think the efficiency part is the part that is going to play a major role, because in terms of efficiency, if we build a system that is going to operate underground, we need to also be able to manage this system on the surface. So we need to also be able to have this system visible on the surface. Most of the equipment underground are not visible on the surface. You can go to the supervisor, or they call them miners or whoever, managers, and ask them, how many guys do you have underground? They might not tell you. How many batteries do you have underground that are halfway dead? They might not tell you. How many methane detectors have detected methane underground? They might not tell you. How many engineers, miners, and artisans are working on a specific fault right now underground? They might not be able to tell you. So you look into those things, and then you determine the efficiency part of that, to say we can come install a system that's going to manage everything that you just mentioned, for you to log in and watch everything that is happening underground. You'll be able to tell the problems before they happen. You'll be able to, I've seen this innovation in China. They have taken a simple hard hat. You see, the hard hat that you wear on your head. Inside the hard hat, there's a cover that holds your skull, and then it's white. So that white cover that holds your skull, it's attached to the hard part of the hard hat, and then that white thing that's covering your skull, that's holding your skull, has a distance between the skull and the hard part. There's a distance. So that plastic that holds your head allows for a space to absorb a shock in case there is a shock from above your head and then it hits your head. So if there's a rock that falls, that plastic will be able to allow for that force to be absorbed by that hard hat. So it will go boom, and then it will absorb it. So you won't be able to feel as much pain as you could feel when you did not put your hard hat on. So what they did in China, what I saw the innovation did was they took out that thing that holds your head, and then they've installed electronic motherboard in that thing. And then that electronic motherboard, it's designed to monitor the workers, monitors the gas levels underground, monitors the strength of the batteries that keeps the lights on, monitors a lot of things. And then you will be able to tell. Actually, it can even tell you that you have 3 artisans, 4 general workers, 2 miners. Every artisan's or every employee's hard hat has a designation. So that hard hat, it's called a smart hard hat. So it can be able to give you all of that data from the surface, from the underground to surface. So when you are on surface in the office, you'll be able to manage everything that is happening underground while you're on surface. And that is going to enforce and enhance efficiency of your mining activities underground. And that's what I'm talking about. So us looking into that will be the easiest way to start innovating into a whole lot more problems. Not even for now, but even for future. That instead of us using winches, we will employ this new method. Instead of us using these hard hats, we'll use this kind of hard hats. Instead of us using, this. Just imagine, do you know how much the mines are spending to buy conveyor belts? Conveyor belt, there's a mine somewhere in Limpopo, in the border of Limpopo in Mpumalanga. It's running a conveyor belt that is, I think, 3, 4, 5 kilometers long, if I'm not mistaken. The conveyor belt is so long. It could be even more than 5 kilometers long. The conveyor belt is so long that it was the only solution that the mine had for them to move the material from one point to the next. Think about it. If you had approached that mine and presented a solution that was gonna replace that conveyor belt, do you think they would have said no? Because it took them a lot to build the A-frame that's gonna hold the conveyor belt. It took them a lot to pay for the contractors that constructed the entire conveyor belt. 10 kilometers or 8, it's too long, that conveyor belt. It took them a lot to construct such thing. Look at the conveyor belts that are transporting coal in Mpumalanga province of South Africa. They're transporting coal from one coal mine to one power plant across the road. The conveyor belt is long and it goes under the roads and everything. So you present a solution that's going to replace such conveyor belts in the form of innovation. Don't tell me it's not possible. Anything is possible. I've just given you an example with our great-grandfathers who used to pick rocks with hands to the mining processing plant. And at the mining processing plant, they were crushing these rocks with hammers. Today we have crushers. Today we have flotations. Today we have all those kind of things, So anything is possible. Anything. Now we're gonna look into such possibilities through this video. And when I do these recordings, I don't do these recordings for today, tomorrow, and next month. I'm doing these recordings for the next decades and dynasties, so that a child who's in primary school today, a child who's in high school doing grade 7 today, grade 8 today, that child will be able to see this video and will be able to work on the innovation while they're still in high school. By the time they start working in the mine, they would have already came up with new solutions. They would have already had a picture of what is happening. So I'm not doing this video for today, tomorrow, and next month. No. I'm doing this video for my child who is 0 years old to see this video and use this video to trigger his thinking or her thinking to come up with a better way of doing things. Because probably there might not be anyone to tell them all of this information that I'm sharing. So I'm trying to document these things in a way so that somebody will be able to see and be able to build something out of it. So, lastly, young females in mining. There's no need. Actually, let me put it this way. South Africa needs a lot of young females in mining because there's a lack of young females in mining. There's a lack. That space is being dominated by men. And I know this, they are. I'm not saying they are not. They are, but it's not enough. So that space is being dominated by men. And those that are in mining today, they're basically employees that are working for the mines. So I want to talk about the young females in mining in terms of service providing to become innovators and become problem solvers in the mining space, in the mining sector. As I double click on this sector today, I want to explore as many possibilities as possible so that the young ladies in the country will also see an opportunity and a possibility for them to innovate something or come up with something that the mines can use to enhance efficiency. The mines can use to enhance safety as and when they extract the material or the ore underground. So whether you're a young lady somewhere at the corner of South Africa somewhere and you bump into this video, this is your chance and opportunity for you to be able to think about the solutions that you can give to the mine and build on or start building on your innovative company that's going to work with the mine. That's what I'm talking about when I say young ladies in mining. Because a lot of young ladies, when they think of mining businesses, they're thinking, I can go supply PPE, I can go challenge yourself, I can go supply catering when they have meetings and trainings and stuff. Challenge yourself. Ask what are the risks, what are the possible challenges underground. Sit down and throw up a solution. Go present the solution to the mine. You understand? Then you get an opportunity to be part of the sector, the mining sector. So don't forget to subscribe. There will be a pop-up here. Just click on the pop-up and click subscribe and be part of this journey. Share the information, share the links, and let's grow our economy together, because we are not building for today, we're not building for tomorrow, we're building for the next 20 years. This is the vision that we have. Until next week, I'll see you next week. Next week.